Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to be talking about the Grizzly G0860 1.5 horsepower dust collector that we bought for our shop, how the assembly went, and at the end, I'll be giving a 1-year update on how this dust collector has performed since installing it. This was a big upgrade for us. When we first started our shop, we bought the inexpensive Harbor Freight 13-gallon 1 horsepower dust collector. It got the job done, but definitely had its downsides. So we were excited for this upgrade. The Grizzly's assembly was pretty straightforward, but we had a few hiccups along the way. First, in order to attach the casters to the bottom of the base, I had to find a 5/16 18 tap and chase all the threads because there was so much paint that none of the bolts wanted to start, and I was concerned that I might strip the threads. This being my first Grizzly product, I immediately started to question if I made the right purchase. Attaching the two support legs and the lock handle guides was a much easier process and didn't require me to run a tap through the holes, so I started to feel a little better about my purchase again. But then I had to put on the top impeller housing. That sucked. I wish I would have filmed it, but honestly it's probably better that I didn't. It was extremely difficult, even having two other people help me. All of the weight is centered over these two lock handle guides, which are flimsy until you get all the bolts connected and tightened down. Definitely a hairy situation, and I would recommend using a hoist to anyone who's going to put one of these together. With the hardest part out of the way, I was able to attach the intake barrel and then the Cyclone funnel, and these were easily attached and didn't give me any problems. It was too difficult to film attaching the flex hose to the Cyclone funnel and attaching the lid, but I had to stop and film when I noticed how crooked the hose clamp was. Surprisingly, it was securely holding the flex hose to the Cyclone funnel, so I decided to ignore my OCD and just leave it be. A year later, and it's still holding strong, even though it drives me nuts. After putting casters on the bottom of the collector drum, I flipped it over, attached a handle and latches to the drum, and I wrapped up this side of the assembly. Next came the canister filter. They recommend having someone assist you while you attach with the 6 bolts, and they're probably right. I was, however, able to struggle long enough and get it attached by myself. After the filter was connected, I finished up with the filter paddle cover and finally the filter cleaning handle. I didn't film connecting the filter bag with the bag clamp, but once it was on, it was time to get the switch mounted, but we ran into another issue that needed to be addressed. I wasn't able to mount the switch to the machine because their factory drilled holes didn't even line up with the power switch that was supplied. So I marked where the hole should be, busted out the center drill and drill, and I popped in a hole. With the switch securely attached to the machine, you can see here where the factory put the hole instead of where it needed to be. Not a big deal, but that's definitely a lack of quality control on their factory. With the dust collector ready to be turned on for the first time, my next move was to get it put into position. We wanted to minimize the noise in the main shop, so we opted to put it in a separate room located in the next garage bay. There was a 7-inch step up into the room, but with a little help I was able to get it. I also ran a dedicated 20-amp circuit to power this machine. The 4-inch duct is going straight through the wall where I have a blast gate mounted inside of a cabinet. By using quick attach hose clamps, I can mount the hose to the blast gate and then to any piece of equipment in my shop. Also, this dust collector can be turned on and off with a remote control. So this whole setup allows for less noisy and cleaner setup by being able to hide the hose when not in use. Now in the garage bay with the dust collector, I also installed a second blast gate that can allow me to hook up our panel saw. We order our wood in bulk and have to cut them down to fit into our lasers, so having a dust collector in this garage bay is critical as well. I originally planned on using both ports that come with the machine, but the reason I'm only using the one and splitting it down the line is because I just didn't want to buy more flex duct. I already had these pieces left over from our original dust collector set up at our old shop and didn't have a piece long enough to reach the back of the blast gate that leads to the panel saw. With having a blast gate on each line, we can easily turn off the side we're not using to maximize suction at the tool we are using. Hardly ever do we need to have dust collection running at 2 locations simultaneously just because of the workflow Wendy and I have, but it's plenty powerful to handle both ports open at the same time. Having the remote to turn the system on and off makes it convenient to park the dust collector out of your way. So it's been a full year since we first bought the dust collector, and all around, I'm very happy with the purchase. In fact, if I were to do it all over again, I would not have a problem with buying the same unit. However, I have run across one problem that has happened more than once, and it's kind of a big deal. This filter bag has come off while the unit was running a few times now. I have the bag clamp as tight as it can go. It's on its last latch. It's completely in the groove that's on the filter, but still somehow over time the bag works loose and I get sawdust coating everything in this entire room. Now I'm inspecting the bag clamp every couple of weeks to make sure everything looks good and secure, so hopefully I can prevent it from happening again. I wish the bag clamp had one more latch so I could just squeeze it just a little bit tighter. It's not really fun to get a bucket of water and washing everything down in the room when this happens. If you like this video, I'd really appreciate it if you'd give us a thumbs up. It really does help our channel, and if you like this sort of thing, consider subscribing. We're putting new videos out regularly, and how cool would it be in a few short years when the Herbstead channel has grown, and you can say, hey, I've been with them from the beginning. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.